Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Jesus in the Beatitudes. A look at Ezekiel's vision in Ezekiel 1 through 3, and a comparison with John the Apostle's vision in Revelation 5 through 6, Ezekiel's situation, beginning of his calling to ministry. 30 years old was the age you had to reach to be a priest. Ezekiel had been called to be a priest, but the Lord changed his calling to prophet. At age 30, Ezekiel received his vision and calling. Nebuchadnezzar had been the lead general in Babylon under his father the king. He defeated Egypt's Pharaoh Necho at the Battle of Carchemish, thereby allowing Babylon to rule the Levant. This included most of the Middle East, from Egypt to east of Babylon and hundreds of miles north to include Nineveh and Syria. It also included all the land of Israel. Nebuchadnezzar became king, and God saw fit to punish Israel by allowing Nebi to come in and take over all of Israel's land. He exiled the Jews left in Judah and Jerusalem in 3 different deportations over 15 years. Ezekiel was part of the second deportation and was put by the river, canal, Kibar, in Tel Aviv, very close to Nippur. Zeke was 30 years old, the Apostle John's situation. John was much older than Ezekiel at the time he received his heavenly vision. John was no stranger to heavenly visions. He had been one of the 3 allowed to see the transfiguration of Jesus. At the time of his vision and receiving the revelation of Jesus Christ, John had been exiled to the island of Patmos, presumably a sort of prison island for undesirables in the Roman Empire. Patmos was right across a body of water from the 7 churches that were all given a message in Revelation. John was lead elder for those churches, and likely had an emissary that would bring news and instructions back and forth. It is interesting that the Lord gave John intimate knowledge in the letters to the 7 churches, in that John would be the ideal candidate to give the messages to those particular groups. Ezekiel's vision of God 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God 2. On the 5th day of the month, which was in the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, 3, the word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar. And the hand of the Lord was upon him there. 4, then I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself, and brightness was all around it and radiating out of its midst like the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. 5. Also from within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man 6. Each one had 4 faces, and each one had 4 wings. 7. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of calves' feet. They sparkled like the color of burnished bronze. 8. The hands of a man were under their wings on their 4 sides, and each of the 4 had faces and wings. 9. Their wings touched one another. The creatures did not turn when they went, but each one went straight forward. 10. As for the likeness of their faces, each had the face of a man. Each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right side. Each of the 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and each of the 4 had the face of an eagle. 11. Thus were their faces. Their wings stretched upward. 2 wings of each one touched one another, and 2 covered their bodies. 12. and each one went straight forward. They went wherever the Spirit wanted to go, and they did not turn when they went. 13. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches going back and forth among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and out of the fire went lightning. 14. And the living creatures ran back and forth in appearance like a flash of lightning. 15. Now as I looked at the living creatures, behold, a wheel was on the earth beside each living creature with its 4 faces. 16. The appearance of the wheels and their workings was like the color of beryl, and all 4 had the same likeness. The appearance of their workings was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. 19. When they moved, they went toward any one of 4 directions. They did not turn aside when they went. 18. As for their rims, they were so high they were awesome, and their rims were full of eyes, all around the 4 of them. 19. When the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. 20. Wherever the Spirit wanted to go, they went, because there the Spirit went, and the wheels were lifted together with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. 21. When those went, these went. When those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up together with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels too. The likeness of the firmament above the heads of the living creatures was like the color of an awesome crystal stretched out over their heads. 23. And under the firmament their wings spread out straight, one toward another. Each one had 2 which covered one side, and each one had 2 which covered the other side of the body. 24. When they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of many waters, like the voice of the Almighty, a tumult like the noise of an army. And when they stood still, they let down their wings. 25. A voice came from above the firmament that was over their heads. Whenever they stood, they let down their wings. 26. And above the firmament over their heads was the likeness of a throne, in appearance like a sapphire stone. On the likeness of the throne was a likeness with the appearance of a man high above it. 27. Also from the appearance of his waist and upward I saw, as it were, the color of amber with the appearance of fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his waist and downward I saw, as it were, the appearance of fire with brightness all around. 28. Like the appearance of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the brightness all around it. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. Similarities. Both Ezekiel and John were exiles in a foreign land when they had their respective visions. Both were considered prisoners by the kingdoms that deported them. They both had callings to speak in behalf of the Lord. Ezekiel as a prophet, John as an apostle, one sent forth. In both visions, they were first shown a scroll that had writing on it inside and out. This is unusual. Most ancient scrolls only had writing on one side. They both then were instructed to eat the scroll. In both cases, the scroll had the taste of honey. In John's case, we see that he was told beforehand that it would taste as honey, then become bitter in his stomach. This happened. Ezekiel had the honey taste, but not bitterness. Both visions involve being in the throne room of God. In both, the 4 living creatures, or cherubim, are present. There are differences in the cherubim in each case. In both cases, things represented in their visions had significance for and to the local area. John's vision had the message to the 7 churches in Asia, which were right across the water, and John was chief overseer of those 7. In Ezekiel's case, he was on the river Chebar, near the city of Nippur. Nippur had been for a long time the city dedicated to the worship of the pagan god Enlil. Nippur had been the spiritual capital of ancient Mesopotamia. Enlil was the wind god and ruler of the pantheon in that region. Ezekiel's vision of the Lord first involves a mighty whirlwind, as we shall see. Differences. Ezekiel's 4. Living creatures had legs like pillars. In both Ezekiel and John's vision, they had the appearance of a man. They were bipedal. In a standing position, John does not refer to straight legs like pillars. Ezekiel places his cherubim under the throne, so we can understand legs like pillars. John's 4 living creatures spoke to him and shouted praises to the Lord. In other words, they were verbal. Ezekiel's were not, or at least did not exhibit this quality in his vision. Ezekiel's cherubim had 4 wings, John's had 6 for reference. Cherubim were also placed at the gates of the Garden of Eden after the fall. These cherubim held flaming swords, which went back and forth and protected the garden from man eating the fruit of the tree of life. These may have been another class of cherubim. Ezekiel's cherubim had 4 different faces, 1 on each side of the head. In John's vision, each cherubim had one of the 4 faces, but only one I'm proposing, and this is a real topic among Bible scholars, that there are different cherubim for differing services. Ezekiel's cherubim had wheels, whereas in Revelation, John makes no mention of them. The wheels, I believe, had to do with the movement of the 4 living creatures in Ezekiel. Their legs were like pillars, so they needed a way to get around smoothly,